I'm sure you heard about the mass shooting at UVA, but did you hear about the mass stabbing at the University of Idaho? I didn't think so. Let's go ahead and talk about it. What's up, Wolverines, and welcome back to the channel. My name is John Crump, and today we are brought to you by Lear Capital. Lear Capital is your go-to place for gold and silver. And right now, if you sign up for a Lear Capital Advantage IRA, you can get up to $15,000 in bonus silver and free shipping on your first order. Lear Capital is where I trust my money for precious gold and silver, and that's where you should too. Lear Capital has $3 billion in trusted transactions and an almost perfect score on Trustpilot. And right now, if you sign up for a Lear Capital Advantage IRA, you can get that $15,000 a bonus silver and free shipping on your first order. But if you're not sure, you can also get their free investor's guide to gold and silver, which will walk you through the advantages of gold and silver. So give them a call at 1-800-741-0551, 1-800-741-0551, or check out the link below in the description. Today, we're going to be talking about a tragedy that happened at UVA where four students were shot and killed. But there's also some other tragedies that didn't make the news, like what happened in Idaho, where four students recently was stabbed. All four students died. And then out in LA, 20 people got hit by a car intentionally where a driver rammed them. But those do not make the front page of the news. Those don't get all the coverage. So I wanted to bring on a guest and talk about why the media doesn't cover these tragedies the same way. Four students got shot at UVA, which is a tragedy. I'm not trying to downplay that. But then you have the University of Idaho, where four students were tragically stabbed to death. All right, I'm going to bring on my co-host over at John Crump Live, and we're going to talk about it. I want you guys to know who this guy is because he is one of the smartest people I know, and I'm sure he has a lot to say. His name is Flying Rich. You can find him at Flying Rich on YouTube.
Thanks, John. That's tough to live up to that introduction, but thank you.
Yeah. Why do you think that the media don't talk about tragedies that don't involve guns as much as they do
So,
with guns?
okay, so we're talking about two incidents, particularly the shooting and the stabbing at colleges. One, four people, well, actually, in both, four people died, correct?
Correct.
So, same loss of life, different method. And uh, so you could say one is more sensational because it's a gun, so it gets more eyes. You know, it's more. First, we got to realize one, news is not news. News is entertainment. And if the story is entertaining, people gravitate towards it. But I don't know. The capability of killing four people with a knife is a bigger challenge than killing four people with a firearm. And you think that would be more sensational. Then it goes into what is the narrative they want to communicate? What information do they want to push to the public? And do they want the public to believe? Do they want the public to believe knives are bad, or do they want the public to believe guns are bad? And I think what the answer is they want the public to believe guns are bad.
Do you think that they would go after the knives if they were able to disarm us from firearms?
Well, and we have incidences of that occurring. If you look at England, where there's virtually no firearms, handguns, let me say that specifically, or in China or Japan, these places they have stabbing. So now in England, I read a story that they went after somebody and took his screwdrivers like a repairman. So you can't have sharp knives in London anymore. I don't know how you eat steak, but that's just kind of crazy. So yeah, they're gonna. The point here is evil will find a way. It's not that, well, this thing is bad, we need to take it away from somebody, or this thing is bad, we need to take it away from somebody. It's the heart of the people are evil, and evil will find a way. And the only thing that defeats evil is good people armed and skilled in violence.
Yeah, in England, for one thing that they do, I play Call of Duty, and you can follow me on my gaming channel at John Crump Games and watch me play Call of Duty, Cyberpunk, and a bunch of other games. But one of the guys I play with is from England, and he says they sensationalize what they call knife crime,
Hmm.
which sounds a lot like our gun crime. And
For sure.
they
Yeah,
have
they're going
they
to keep disarming people until you only have bad words.
what's the end goal of disarming people?
Well, it's realistically, it's a human right to be able to defend yourself, your life, and the lives of loved ones. If you disarm people, then evil prevails because you can kick in any door. Like there's laws in England. Basically, if somebody kicks in your door, you can't do anything. They can just take whatever you want, and they're enacting laws like that in Illinois. That's going to come up next year, where basically, if somebody kicks in your door, sits down, starts eating dinner, you can't even call the cops. You can't even do anything about that. And the only thing they're going to hold you in bond for is first degree murder, not second degree murder or rape. Those things they're going to let you right out.
Yeah,
Which it's crazy. It's really it's a deterioration of the civil society. And the concept of a civil society is that I get up, I go to work, I earn a living, hopefully I do something to help other people. I support my family. We have a normal life that's unmolested by evil or crime. And it seems that they're paving the way, making it easier for crimes to be committed on good people.
yeah. So, do you think that this is some type of conspiracy by them, or do you think it's just a fundamental hatred of firearms?
I think all of the above. So, a couple of things. I always believe that there's the useful idiots, and then I believe that there's the people that are true believers that firearms are bad. And John and I both have a number of firearms. So almost everybody I know has a number of firearms. We're not getting mad and solving problems with our firearms. We're very respectful, and in fact, a person with a firearm, like a CCW holder, is 20 times less likely to commit a crime than a police officer. So we're actually more law abiding than the police as concealed carry holders. So the argument that they make about pulling guns off the street, realistically, you want more of me and John and all of our other friends out there with concealed carry permits, because one, we're going to actively work to keep ourselves safe and keep ourselves out of trouble and not commit crimes, because we don't want to risk losing our right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I do like how you quoted Marx because that seems to be one of their heroes. Marx is the guy that came up with the useful idiots thing when he was talking about communism.
Sure.
I'm not sure if people caught that reference or not. But yeah,
It,
it looks like it's right out of their playbook to
yeah,
do it.
I
Conspiracy.
So the other thing is, if you create a problem, if you create lawlessness, where like when I lived in New York and worked in Manhattan, I traveled everywhere on the subway, and I talk to people now, and they're like, "Heck no, I wouldn't go on the subway." Uh, when you create a problem like that, lawlessness, where you can't, go to and from work without being accosted, either by somebody begging or by somebody holding you up for your money, or just a violent attack. Like there's all of these sucker punch attacks you see people recording and publishing.
Which are dangerous, and people have died because of it.
Correct. Correct. And then people will say, well, since I can't have a gun, please help me. Or the guns are the problems. Like if you take New York City or Manhattan, I'm sorry, New York State or the five boroughs of New York City,
It's like
most people,
It's like the Lord of the Rings, where you put on the ring and you become evil.
Well, most people don't have guns, and the only people that do have guns are violent criminals. So you're like, yeah, let's get rid of all the guns. You have 5 counties in New York State where people are brainwashed to think firearms are the problem, and if you remove the firearms, there'll be no more problem. And what I think people need to do is compare and contrast that to places like England, China, Japan, where there are virtually no firearms, and then compare and contrast that to places like Virginia, where you have carry permits, or Florida, where you have carry permits, where they're liberal about your Second Amendment rights, that you have the ability to keep and bear arms. And if you look at the crime rate of New York City, where it's virtually the land of no firearms, where it's almost impossible to get a carry permit, compare and contrast that to, West Palm Beach, Miami, any metro in Florida where people can carry, there's much less crime because people are more worried about committing a crime on somebody who's armed or a bystander, a good sheepdog, taking action.
Yeah, nobody wants to get got, as the saying goes. They
Right.
want to F around and find out. They don't want
Correct.
they don't want to find out. But yeah, like I go to New York a lot and I understand exactly what you are saying. And we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And I think a lot of what they're going for is trying to strip that responsibility to try to make us dependent on the government, dependent on the system.
And here's where the useful idiot comes in: is anybody in political office has protection. They have armed protection, but somebody like you or me, we don't have Gavin DeBecker armed guards protecting us or our family. And where I live in a rural part of Palm Beach, believe it or not. And if there was an axe murder, or like 5 guys went into a neighbor's house with firearms and started shooting the place up, I probably wouldn't even hear it. And even if somebody did hear and report it, there's one sheriff for like 10 square miles. So pretty much we're on our own. The government isn't providing, while they want to take away your firearm in New York State, they're not providing me 24-hour, armed services. And they have no legal obligation, that was decided in the Supreme Court, to protect me.
Yeah, the Supreme Court says the police have no legal obligation to protect, even though it says to protect and serve. But it is what it is. You are your own first responder. Thank you, Rich, so much for coming on. I just wanted to introduce people to you if they don't know who you are, because you have one of my favorite channels and
Thank you, John.
you are a very smart guy. People can follow you, and I insist that they do, over at Flying Rich on YouTube. Don't go to Fly Rich and don't go to Flying with Rich. It's Flying Rich, one word. Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, John.
All right, guys, let me know if you like this format. I just wanted to introduce to you one of my favorite YouTubers and my co-host to John Crump Live. So you can go ahead and follow Rich, and I highly, highly suggest that you do. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I love you very much. Stay ever vigilant, stay ever free, keeping the fight. I am out of here. Wolverines.